All right. So I need you in a few different places. Google Drive is one of those places. I want you to pull two documents in Google Drive. One is in your Shared With Me folder. It's new. I just gave it to you. It's OAA Practice Test number 3 readings. I think that's basically what the title is. Yeah, some reading items. And you open it, it's this. So if you did the OAA practice items, this looks familiar because these are the selections. I just copied and pasted them out into a document for you for easy access. And if you wanted to write on it, you could, but I'm not sure that you're going to need to at this point. So I want you to have that open. I'd also like you to find your OAA practice notes. We've been building some notes. Pull that up. So you have two documents up, those two. And then, third place, I'd like you on the ODE's Web for Students, you know, that OAA practice testing. The link is available on the Moodle site. Remember that it is available right down here at the bottom, OAA Preparation, ODE Web for Students. So go there, log in. So 3 tabs. The OAA reading items I just sent you, the OAA practice notes, and the Ohio Department of Education Web for Students. When you're logged into the ODE Web for Students, you should see My Portfolio. And if you did the practice test for today, you should see it in your results drop-down menu. So I'll give everybody a moment to catch up with all that setup. Raise your hand if you're having trouble logging into anything or finding anything. Okay. I'd like to go through the questions, and I'd like you to use your OAA preparation notes in prepping those questions, figuring out how to do this. But let's start here with the OAA practice test number 3 reading items. Read the first one. I know you've already read it, but read it again just to remind yourself of it. Refresh before we go into the questions. Okay, even if you haven't completely finished it, you've read enough to refresh yourself on it. We might have to reread portions anyway. Let's go to number 1. I swallowed a lump in my throat the size of a baseball and got on stage to some indifferent applause. What effect does the phrase "the size of a baseball" have in the sentence above? Go to your OAA preparation notes, your OAA practice notes. You have pieces of advice for approaching a multiple choice question. Can somebody tell me which piece of advice is your step 1 for this one? Sarah. That's step 2. You need to do something else. Oh, that's part of the reading, Maddie, so that's overall reading. If we were reading it, then we might think about its purpose. I mean, answering questions. What's our first step? Sarah? Reread the portion of the text as necessary. So every time they refer you to a quotation, I want you to reread that portion of the text. That should be automatic. In fact, I'm not even sure I would have gotten to the question before I read this passage. So let's find 5. And you know what? Let's read around it. Maya, can you read 4, 5, and 6 for me, please? Excellent. Sir, can you give me a quick summary of what Maya has just read in 4, 5, and 6?
Bobby Brown is at Mary's and he's time with this trio where he's like, he's kind of nervous and kind of dumb.
Good. He's just beginning his performance and he's nervous. That's pretty much what you got. Now let's read. What effect does the phrase "the size of a baseball" have in the sentence above? Now we can go to Sarah's step about eliminating incorrect answers. It indicates that Bobby E. Brown feels sick. It emphasizes Bobby E. Brown's nervousness. It shows Bobby E. Brown's great love of performing before an audience. It builds excitement, as though Bobby Brown is watching a close baseball game. Haley, can you eliminate one of those for me, please? D. Why? That's right. The baseball in his throw is not literal. Also, Haley, D has a key word. Every one of these sort of has a key word. What's the key word in D? Not quite. What's the one that really shows what question D is, or answer D is giving? What's the effect of this image of the baseball in the throat? What word shows the effect? That's okay. Probably not sure where I'm going. You'll see as soon as you see this. Cody? Excitement. Key word in D is excitement. Right? Okay. Somebody want to eliminate another correct answer for the same reason? The key word just doesn't work? Kim? C. What's the key word or phrase in C? Great love. And there doesn't seem to be any great love expressed here. That's excellent. Let's see. Haley, now that you see where we're going, what's the key word in A and what's the key word in B? Well, go to B if you don't see it in A. I'm sorry? Emphasizes? Actually, let's not look at, check this out. C has shows great love. And instead of picking the verb, Kim picked great love. D has builds excitement. And Cody picked excitement. B has emphasizes what? What's it emphasizing? Yeah, nervousness. Right? There we go. So nervousness is my keyword in B. Somebody give me the keyword in A? Maya. Sick. So considering Mansour's earlier summary of this section, what's the answer? Haley? D, because nervousness captures it. We are correct. This method of going through these steps, first of all, might seem pretty long and cumbersome and you don't have the patience for it. We're doing it in a very slow fashion. You'll be faster than this if you're doing it on your own. But secondly, take that time. It'll increase your probability of answering the correct answer. If at any point also you're looking at your personal results and say, oh man, I missed that one. I don't know how. I thought I was correct, and you're confused, raise your hand and ask me a question because I'd be happy to talk with you about what you missed. Kurt? Well, geez, step by step. Halfway through, I realized I was making as much impression as a snowball on a brick wall. We already reread 6, so we're good. Which word below means the same as impression as it is used in the sentence above? Before you answer, Kurt, what's the question asking about? True. It is asking for the definition of a word, but how is it asking you to demonstrate the definition? What are you supposed to find? Oh, good. We're looking for a synonym, and synonyms will be able to replace the words that they are synonymous with. So let's try Kurt's little trick. A synonym should be able to replace the word that it is synonymous with. Halfway through, I realized I was making as much suspicion as a snowball on a brick wall. Don't believe snowballs are suspicious. Halfway through, I realized I was making as much imitation as a snowball on a brick wall. Not sure the snowball's imitating anything. Halfway through, I realized I was making as much effect as a snowball on a brick wall. Sounds pretty good. Halfway through, I realized I was making as much notch as a snowball on a brick wall. Well, that's not correct in terms of usage. Besides, notch is just a little nick or mark in something, and we're looking for something bigger. So effect was your answer, right, Kurt? It's the one that seems to replace most easily. And we're good. How does the subjective point of view affect this passage? Go back to your notes. We've talked about rereading portions of the passage. We've talked about eliminating incorrect answers. We've talked about key words just now. What other piece of advice have I given you in your notes that we need to bring into play here? Not quite. That's in writing. We might want to include quotations. So save that one, Kim, for when we're writing. Yeah? So good again, and I'll ask the question again. How does the subjective point of view affect this passage? What do you have to do? No, you don't have to read the entire passage again because it's asking for the overall passage, not just a portion. Kim, you only reread when it's a portion of a text. Well, there should be a piece of advice in your OAA prep notes. Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Define any important concepts that the question uses. Mark, what's the important concept in this one? Subjective and point of view. We know what point of view means, right? Matthew, what does point of view mean?
Like the way it's told.
The way a story is told. Do any of you know what the word subjective means? Uh-huh. It's not the same as subject, though. No? Sarah? Not quite. Now? Also not quite. Don't feel bad. So far today, not a single 7th grader has really known what subjective meant right off the bat. Are you going to look it up?
Well, I was gonna say, like, we know what it is, just like we can't explain it. That's the thing, like, I know what it is,
Haley?
I can't explain it. Oh, wait, did I do it?
You excited because you found it?
Yes.
Okay, Kurt, read for me the definition.
Subject's personal perspective, feelings, beliefs, desires, or discovery, as opposed to those made independent.
Personal. Subjective is personal. If you are giving your subjective impression, you're giving your personal impression from your own perspective, not somebody else's. Kurt, Haley, anybody else, does it give you the antonym? What's the antonym of subjective? Oh. Anybody know the antonym? If subjective is personal and opinion-based, what means impartial and not opinion-based? Again, don't feel bad that you don't know these terms. Kurt? Yeah. Nope, it's a word that sounds kind of like subjective. Nope. Objective. Oh, now there's some recognition moments. Have you ever heard somebody say, hey, be a bit objective about that? Yes? I hear some nods. When somebody's saying be objective, they mean don't be so biased. Think about other people's point of view. Be fairer. Don't be so selfish about something. Subjective is very personal and very biased. Which points of view in literature would be subjective points of view? Go back to what we learned about points of view, about narrative perspectives. Which ones are very personal? First person is very personal. Sarah, which one's really close to first person, but it's not first person? Third limited. Third limited and first person are subjective points of view. Therefore, which one is the objective point of view? Third omniscient, because you have perspectives from a bunch of different people. All right, we defined the concept. In this story, whose perspective is it? Bob E. Brown's. And it's third limited, right? Because we don't have any I or anything in there. Or no, we do. I'm sorry. It is first person. I see the eyes all over the place. Bob E. Brown, first person. All right, we're ready to go. How does the subjective point of view affect this passage? It gives the reader insight into the main character's emotions. It helps the reader understand how it feels to play blues music. It allows the reader to understand the story from an objective outsider. It tells the reader how other characters feel about the main character. Bryce, can you eliminate one for me, please?
It tells the reader how other characters feel about the main character.
Okay, so you're getting rid of D. Why?
Because it's in first person, so you don't know how they feel about that.
Correct. First person excludes those sorts of perspectives. Very good. How about another one? Maddie, can you get rid of another one of those? A, B, or C we have left? Sorry, I saw your hand up a bunch of times and I ignored you, and now when I call on you, you're not quite sure about it. But take a moment with it. A, B, or C, which of those does not seem like the benefit of a subjective point of view? It's correct. Why?
Because it's first person.
So we can't have an objective outsider. Excellent. So we've gotten rid of C and D. Cody, what's the correct answer? If we're only down to two, which one are you eliminating? We're eliminating B. Why?
Because it's not really meant to show what it feels like to play blues music.
He never talks about that, does he? What's his entire focus in this piece? What is he primarily expressing to us?
Like what he's feeling to play his first professional like blues music.
Excellent, Cody. You're correct. What it feels like emotionally to play that. Understanding subjective points of view should throw out C and D immediately. And then thinking about the passage should help you narrow onto A. Good deal. Next question. Which sentence summarizes paragraph 10? Alexis, what am I going to do to start this question? Could you do that for me, please?
The next two songs were they blur in my mind. Oh, I know that song. I know what song it is. I just remember being friendship with how I was. All the hours and years practice took over. I didn't wash my hands like I used to do. I washed it with those people watching me. I came to bring that.
Excellent. Lauren, could you summarize that paragraph for me just briefly? What's going on in that paragraph? Why not? Not actually. Take a look at the paragraph again. Alexis? Too detail-oriented. Because he's enjoying himself so much. Look at that. They're a blur in my mind. If you look up, I couldn't believe it. They liked me. The next two tunes were a blur in my mind. Excuse me. Hours and years of practice took over. I didn't wash my hands like I usually do. I watched the faces. I sang to them, not at them. He's into it. He's hit a groove. Bob E. Brown realizes that the audience is watching him. Bob E. Brown grows more comfortable as he relaxes and enjoys performing. Bob E. Brown begins to play and does so without looking down at his guitar. Bob E. Brown manages to get through two songs despite forgetting exactly how to play them. Sierra, which of those answers, A through D, seems to be the same as the summary we just gave? D, he forgets how to play the songs? B is correct. If he's in the groove, enjoying himself, he's growing more comfortable. Go back to the selection, read it carefully. If paragraph 10 doesn't seem clear to you, read paragraph 9 also. Because I think when you say, I couldn't believe it, they liked me, and then you get the next two tunes were a blur, you get that idea of excitement and comfort. Good deal. What is one way that the narrator conveys how Bobby Brown's feelings change in the passage? Aisha, can you tell me how his feelings change in the passage, even before we look at A through D?
At first he's really nervous, and then towards the end, he's not as self-conscious and starts comfortable.
Good. Goes from nervous to comfortable, basically, right? Excellent. Which of these provides that support? He tells how the Milt Lewis trio comes onto the stage with him. He explains how he begins sweating and how his palms dry out. He describes the sound of the audience clapping after each song. He relates a story about playing during assemblies at his school. Kim, let's go negative first. Eliminate one.
D.
Why are we eliminating D?
Because he only mentions first, I believe, once.
And it doesn't support nervousness, and it doesn't support comfort. It's got to support one of those two that Aisha just told us is playing here. Maya, get rid of another one, A through C. And why? Who is C talking about? That's correct. It's not talking about him even at all. Okay? Let's see. Kurt, A or B? What's the correct answer? The Milt Lewis trio comes onto stage with him, and that shows what? His nervousness or his comfort? It doesn't show either. Take a look at B. Mark, explain why B is the correct answer.
Because, it shows that he's nervous, feeling quiet, and,
Palm sweating shows nervousness, palms drying out shows confidence. So Aisha's change from nervous to comfortable is borne out by B, sweating to not sweating. Okay. Okay, we will skip the written response for the moment. Then we really started to cook. Paragraph 14. What does cook mean in the sentence above? Paul, would you mind rereading 14 for us, please?
Then we really start to get the Milt Lewis place also sat and with the bass and a double habit. We did, I don't know how many more chords. I dropped into rhythm playing while I joined the solo, and we all sang it together.
Excellent, thank you. Lizzie, can you summarize that paragraph for me a little bit? What's happening in that paragraph? Good. Milt Lewis is playing with him. Are they playing well together? Excellent. So they're all together on stage playing well together. What does cook mean in the sentence above? A, they play very well together. B, they prepare to play together. C, they prepare a variety of fast songs and rhythms. D, they play until the sweat rolls down their back. Get rid of one, Sarah. Why are we getting rid of B? Right, there's no preparation, and therefore we can also eliminate which other answer for the same reason. C, because there's once again no preparation. Paul, what else are we eliminating? D, because it's not talking about what? It's not talking about nervousness or heat. So we're left with A, which was very much the summary we just gave of that paragraph. Works. Oh, there's the porcupine one. And it's kind of perfect timing. So we must look at the written portion. We'll look at that tomorrow. And you'll look at your results and see your scores. And if you have not yet completed this, you might want to think about that so you can get some feedback from me and earn at least a reduced grade. Close them up, log them off, put them back.